Here in part 2 we want to continue with a slightly extended creation story. The same story is told in the West Penry papers, but here's an expanded hypothesis on the same subject. From the light of expanded awareness, the following seems plausible to us. Please let us know in the comment section what you think. In the beginning of the universe, there was only feminine energy. The first beings were purely feminine and had feminine offspring. The problem with this was that the offspring was a perfect copy of the mother. Thus, she acted and reacted in the same way to challenges and obstacles. This became quite monotonous after a while, so somewhere along the line, in order for some expansion to take place, the goddess decided to create a masculine counterpart. This was long before there was any life on Earth. The masculine energy was thus a distortion of the essential feminine energy. However, the masculine, forward-moving energy, which operates on a different vibration from the feminine, ended up creating conflicts, competition, and warlike situations, etc. And things soon started to get out of hand. Entire civilizations arose in the Ka, where the masculine energies created conflicts of different kinds, and this new energy was often foreign to the feminine. This is the reason why there were suddenly wars, conquest, and alienation happening in the Ka. Thus, wars, conquest, and conflicts were already present in the universe before the human experiment began. The experiment in free will, which started on Tiamat and Mars, and potentially on Venus as well, was an attempt by the Queen to find a workable solution to this dilemma. She wanted to see if an androgynous race, the Namlu'u/primordial womankind, with a feminine essence, could coexist with a perhaps equal amount of masculine energy inside, balancing the two in a harsh environment, and still come out with more compassion and female attributes than before they entered the contained environment on a huge planet, Tiamat. Enki was also part of the experiment from the beginning, contributing with the masculine energy. Then at one point, the invasion took place, and the EAF took over the solar system, as described in the WPP as the Titan War, from Greek mythology. The majority of the AIF were military, and thus both warlike and patriarchal, particularly the Syrians. They closed the Saturn Stargate and put out guards, whom Thoth called the Hounds. Then the overlords quarantined the solar system and put up a grid around Earth, which became the new Tiamat. Earth/Gaia is of course feminine in nature, which is also evident by its circular shape. Enki and Marduk, both patriarchal, and with an abundance of masculine energy, placed themselves as gods in this matrix, and in the beginning they shared this godhood. This also explains Jehovah's split personality, where Enki was the less warlike of the two. The AIF wanted to create a patriarchal society, thus creating Homo sapiens in their own image. The patriarchal structure was already prominent in the Syrian culture. They now also created the two genders, male and female, in order to divide, control, and conquer. Additionally, they created the grid around the Earth in form of a raised hexagon, which then became a Metatron's cube, also called a hexahedron. See reference in description box. Thus, a quarantine shaped into a cube-formed grid, made exclusively from masculine energies, straight lines and angles, was created. This is interesting because it is reasonable to believe that Saturn is the key to keeping us trapped in this false construct. We know that on Saturn's north pole there is a huge hexagon, and the hexagon, just like any geometric symbol, is formed by sound frequency. These days we know that Saturn emits a certain sound frequency which can be heard on NASA's videos. The sound Saturn emits is very masculine, straight lines and angles. It is pure masculine energy. These sound waves are directed towards Earth, creating a hexagon around the planet, which in its raised form becomes a cube. There we have the grid. More and more researchers are now coming to the same conclusion. The Earth is surrounded by a cube-like grid. See description box for several references. Remote viewers and others are even talking about 7 to 8 copies of Earth in different densities being trapped within the grid. Moreover, we can see the cube being depicted in multiple symbols used by big corporations, governments, and other patriarchal institutions. These symbols emit masculine energy, and we are surrounded by it every day via all the symbols we see everywhere. And in Mecca they are worshipping not only the gods, but also the construct they are trapped in. The worshippers gather around the Mecca cube in circles, signifying the rings of Saturn, whereas the cube itself represents Saturn. It can also be perceived as the Muslims being the feminine energy worshipping the masculine cube in submission. With all the above in mind, it would suffice to say that if all humans developed their feminine energies, it would destroy the entire grid system. After the overlords had created the grid, they started harvesting the human soul energy to support the masculine grid system, and they used a lot of feminine energy to pull us into the tunnel of light. This energy is harvested energy from the human soul as well. Therefore, the discarnate soul is automatically drawn towards the light after death like a magnet because of its pure feminine energy, our own essence. Over time, this system created masculine energies on steroids on planet Earth, and humans truly became in an image of the gods, dramatizing masculine energy. And when we think about it, what is narcissism? It's pure masculine energy operating solely from the lower 2 to 3 chakras, if we want to use the chakra system as a metaphor. A full-blown narcissist does not have any feminine energies at all and can therefore not reach the heart level. Thus, one can say they are soulless, i.e. they lack feminine energy. However, they can mimic feminine energy from having observed it in soul beings, but it's never genuine because they don't have it within themselves. The more we lose of our feminine energy, the more narcissistic we become. Thus, if we go that route, one's soul being can potentially become a full-blown narcissist. The masculine energy on steroids is like turning up the knob to full volume on a stereo, playing the most distorted death metal music that's ever been produced. We are using this metaphor because death metal music is all about masculine energy. This drowns the feminine energy, metaphorically represented by the music of Mozart, which is composed from feminine energy, to such an extent that we have become overwhelmed with masculine energy in this matrix. The feminine energy became totally suppressed a long time ago. We are stuck in masculine distortion, vibration, which makes it very difficult to leave the construct. Ariel told me an interesting story. In kindergarten, they did an experiment. The students first had to listen to a march or something similar, which had a strong forward movement, and they had to draw with a pen what they felt from the music. The students intuitively drew straight lines and angles. When they were presented with much softer music that had more feminine attributes, the little kids drew curved patterns on their papers. A way of differentiating between feminine and masculine energies is to think about masculine energy as directed outwards, explosive, while the feminine energy is directed inward, implosive. A good example of this is the human sexual energies. The feminine sexual energy is implosive, directed inward, while the masculine sexual energy is explosive and directed outward. A male who is very stuck in an abundance of masculine sexual energy is therefore not very sensitive to his partner, but is more into just completing the act, rather than using feminine emotions and attributes, attempting to create a mutual inner connection with his partner. The good news is that both Ariel and I have noticed lately that more and more people are now starting to embrace the feminine energy, going back to their origin. This is being discussed a lot among YouTubers and bloggers these days. And this is something new, something that has started quite recently, and these new insights seem to be spreading rapidly. We think that this is very significant and a sign that more and more people are truly coming to the same conclusions at the same time. The more we discuss these issues, the better. Perhaps we can even create a 100th monkey syndrome this way, who knows? Whatever is happening, it's very encouraging. It might be external, universal energies coming through the grid, if we want to look at it that way. Or it could be that people who have done their spiritual homework over a long period of time now are entering the same nexus point, realizing who they really are. Please continue discussing in the comment section. We think this might be one of the most important subjects right now. The energies on this planet are significantly changing. The patriarchal regime is losing ground, and the matriarchal energies are rising rapidly.